Metal hearts pounding the beat. Feel the rush at your feet. Tear the night with electric scream. Amped up dreams fuel the stream. Thunder blast through endless skies. Driving forward never dies. Kicker unmasked, live it loud. Break the silence, join the crowd. Rock the planet, feel the fire. Shake the world, lift it higher. Whoa! Wires twist like veins of steel. Born to crush, born to feel. Lightning runs through every chord. Power surge, the final word. Shatter chains with sonic waves. Carve the air like razor blades. No escape, no retreat. Victory tastes so sweet. Kicker unmasked, live it loud. Break the silence, join the crowd. Rock the planet, feel the fire. Shake the world, lift it higher. Hey, yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday night. Thank you for being here. I have not been here for a few weeks, maybe months, and I'm so excited to be back with you guys and girls. Bobby Burkett, we were discussing you earlier. Our live studio audience was wondering, what are you doing at 3:30 in the afternoon, checking into a show that starts at 7:30? Please put the answer in the chat. We would love to know. Peter, I saw you on there. Good evening, Peter. I've got a picture of you and me at SEMA. That's a great picture. I'm going to pop it up tonight and talk a little bit more about you. So thanks for being here. And is there a Dave Tim with Tim Customs on here? I didn't see him, but Dave, hopefully, Mr. Tim, you have checked in tonight because we're going to talk about you as well. And did you guys notice this massive... Hey, Ernie, can you put a camera on this? This is getting chopped off on the screen here. I've got a monster chocolate bar and 2 huge kisses. Now you're probably wondering who sent such massive quantities, 5, 6, 7 pounds of chocolate, and that was our dear friends at Opus Marketing. Jamie, Chuck, Todd, and Greg, you guys are incredible. My team is going to gain 7 or 8 pounds between now and January, so thank you very much for that. And we're actually going to cut that chocolate open and share it with our lovely audience tonight. You guys are all getting chocolate tonight. 7 pounds. Who's up? Excellent. All right. So we're going to gorge on some chocolate tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, we have 2 very special guests. Our very own Aaron Surratt. You've seen him several times on the show. And Dr. Liz McCullagh. Dr. Liz is a professor, associate professor, right? Associate professor at Oklahoma State University. And this is her second or third time on the show. I keep looking at her off camera. And she is the first and only doctor, aside from Dr. 12 Volt, that we've had on the show. So this is her 3rd appearance as Dr. Liz McCullagh. And man, she's definitely the smartest person we've ever had tonight. Tonight, right? Get that? Okay, great. There's no laugh track, so you guys can't hear that laughing. So we're going to take about a 60-second break. We're going to set up the chairs. We're going to get ready. So please be back in 60 seconds. back. We have our lovely smiling guest here to my right. This is Dr. Liz McCullagh and, of course, Mr. Aaron Surratt. Now, because this is part 2 of the science of sound, some of you may not have seen part 1, so we're going to do a quick recap on what exactly it is we're talking about and why these folks are here. So, Aaron, let's start with you. What exactly is going on tonight?
So what's going on tonight is that we've got a group of students here, honor students from OSU, that, round of applause for the honor students, that Liz and I teach about sound. And so we tag team the course, and I teach more about how sound is generated through a lot of speaker design stuff, and heavily related to the work that I do here at KICKER. And Liz teaches more of the biology side of things and how the human ear works, and she can elaborate on that a little bit more, I'm sure.
Liz, tell us.
Yeah, so I'm an auditory neuroscientist, and I got really stoked when I found out there was a speaker company in town, since obviously a lot of what we do is related to sound and sound production and how our body is able to actually respond to sound and how our brain then processes those sound signals. And so when I found out that KICKER was here, I reached out to Steve, actually go to the gym with some of the folks here at KICKER.
Of course.
And Steve was super stoked to try to figure out ways that we could work together. And so I got a small grant actually first that you saw part 1, might have remembered seeing some of my students who worked with Aaron all summer to build this mobile exhibit that we wanted to take on the road to kind of bring sound and science to folks to kind of learn more about how all that works. And some of the stuff you see up here is part of that project, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then as we started talking, and Aaron and I got to know each other, I was like, there are these honors classes, and they really want, especially things that can bridge industry and companies with students where they can kind of get that experience that is different than something they might get in a traditional classroom.
Sure.
So we started brainstorming ideas and came up with this class, and now this is our second year teaching it and our second group of students.
So you're taking the science and turning it into something that could lead to a real job or career, which is amazing because the reason you're going to college is to get a job, right? I mean, ultimately we have to pay the bills, and so it's wonderful to take that science and bridge it with industry and create some real smart people that have really fun jobs too. Because obviously, Aaron, what we do is very fun.
Definitely.
Amazing.
Get to execute our hobby.
Yes, we get paid for our hobby. Mm-hmm. And so, as you see here, we've got a couple of things we're going to talk about. And the grand finale it's the Kuntz tube?
Kuntz tube,
The Kuntz tube.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be the grand finale. And we're actually going to have a couple of the students play the bass into the Kuntz tube so you can see the frequencies, and that's just awesome. Do we have any questions before I get launched too far? I always forget to answer questions because I get so involved in the conversation. Corey? Oh, no questions yet. Okay, good. All right. Oh, speaking of which, I forgot to tell you folks. So tonight, Jeremy, JW, is actually the producer. He's running Ernie's board, and Ernie's taking a nap tonight. And then, of course, Steven is working the cameras. And Ernie, wake up. Ernie, there we go. All right. And Colin is working remotely tonight. So Colin is helping us out, but he's not in the studio. So, okay, so let's start with what it is, what we've got sitting here. Aaron, what's this about?
Well, this is actually a speaker two-way system that our students built in class. We got some parts from our vendor, just a basket and motor, separate from the spider, separate from the cone and surround and dust cap, and none of the tinsel leads were soldered or any of that. So they built them in class. We took some glues, took a soldering iron into class and put them in groups, and they built a speaker. And of course, we didn't hand build a tweeter. They're pretty small and delicate. That would be pretty difficult. But they hand built the speakers. We coupled it with a tweeter. And then we even did crossover design in class. We had one of the students get up in class. He sat at my computer and used Fine Crossover, which is the crossover design software that we use for development. And, I kind of coached him through the process. And as a class, we designed a crossover for it and made it sound pretty good. And compared it to some other drivers. And, that was obviously a big part of the class. It's a big part of what I do. And tweaking sound and making things sound good is, the ultimate goal. So
I want to talk about crossovers for just a minute because a lot of folks in our audience are very smart and they understand that. But there's some people that use crossovers, but not really knowing what they're doing or why we need them. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, really and truly, all a crossover is doing is manipulating impedance to manipulate the curve. So if you want to cut output, you put components in line to increase the impedance, because if you increase the impedance, then there's less power out of the amplifier and there's less output somewhere where you might want less output. So basically you use caps and coils and maybe even some resistors if you want to do a L pad to attenuate, or an attenuator is what an L pad is, and you configure them in the circuit to give you crossover points and make the relationship between the mid-range and the tweeter as good as possible.
Now, I know in some of our component systems, we don't use a low-pass filter on the mid-range driver, just a high-pass on the tweeter. How does that work?
Well, it just depends on the relationship between the drivers. Some mid-range drivers roll off drastically enough to where basically the coil in the driver has enough inductance, or maybe the driver has enough mass. Whatever the situation is that's making the top end roll off, you don't need to put a low pass on it because it rolls off naturally and it couples well with the tweeter without a low pass crossover on the mid. So of course, the tweeter has to have a high pass because you try to play low frequency through it, you're going to have problems.
It has smoke,
Yeah.
just a little bit of smoke. So now, what would be the benefit to not having a low-pass filter?
Lower cost, fewer components,
Yeah.
an easier setup. Easier, well, for the development team anyway,
Yeah.
because, for the consumer, the hookup is still going to be the same. But yeah, lower cost is the ultimate thing, is fewer components.
Fewer components, sure. Which means you can develop a higher quality audio system for less money. Everybody wins.
Exactly.
So, Liz, now, crossovers is not your specialty, but you're certainly understanding what they're doing and how that interacts with our ears, attenuating various frequencies. And so the way we hear obviously is not linear. I mean, everybody knows you don't hear everything flatly. So how do our ears hear? I mean, what's that? How does that work?
Yeah, so obviously our ears help collect sound, right? And each of our shapes are actually kind of uniquely suited to do that, right? And help you discriminate front from back, right? That's really why our ears are faced forward. And then when sound gets into the ear, you have different things that help amplify that sound in the middle ear, and then in the cochlea you get kind of frequency response where specific frequencies start to excite different neurons and in this case hair cells that actually are mechanoreceptors. So they move with this kind of fluid wave that turns into an electrical signal that's what our brain's currency is. So our brain then uses those electrical signals to start activating different parts of the auditory pathways in the brain. And the one I'm focused on is the one that basically uses timing differences and intensity differences that are based on the size and shape of our head that help us figure out where sounds are coming from. So there's basically two cues our head gives us that help us determine sound location. One is the fact that the sound wave, if it's coming from over here, is going to physically hit this ear first. And then it'll hit this ear later. And we can actually compute the time it takes to travel from one ear to the other and say, okay, the sound must have come from over here. And we can do this at like microsecond resolution. Like our brain is so fast at doing this. It's amazing. It's one of the fastest things our brain can do, period. And then that really only works for those low frequencies because you need that phase shift in the wave. If you don't have that phase shift, it doesn't make sense to your brain, right? You're not able to kind of look at where that wave is in correspondence with the ears. So for anything over, 1 to 2K, our brain actually has to use intensity differences. So is it louder at one ear? And our bodies are actually incredible at absorbing sound. So if it hits this ear first, our head will actually absorb much of that sound and it'll be softer at the other ear. And so our brain can use that for basically every frequency out there to say, okay, the sound must be coming from over here because it was louder over here. So we have this circuit set up in the brain, and that's the one that our lab is really interested in. But what we want to do then is apply that to like more complex questions, because that's the basic biology that we know kind of how it works. And so what our lab's interested in is like, why after I had kids, I'm now more sensitive to my kid's location, right? And I'm like, okay, that's my kid screaming over there. I know immediately where she is. I can find her. But like, are there hormones or other things that are helping tune my brain now to be more sensitive to their location specifically? So we're interested in that. And then we also know that in conditions like autism, people are really sensitive to sound.
Yes.
And we don't really know where in the brain those sensitivities come from. And some of it probably is even in this really early processing of sound that our brain's doing to just tell us location information. Because you can imagine if you're a loud classroom or a loud, bar or something like that, and there's lots of sounds going on at once, if you can't tell the location one from the other, that's going to be really overwhelming.
Yes.
And could lead to some of that over sensitivity to sound. So we're looking in our pathway too to see if maybe that's also affected in something like autism.
So, funny you should mention this. So, there's a neurofeedback lab here in Stillwater, and I've been going there for several months, and they're rewiring my brain through sound. Mm-hmm. So I watch a movie, and while I'm watching the movie, I'm hearing boop, beep, beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, 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 and somehow that sound is rewiring my brain. Is that, am I getting this right?
Rewiring probably isn't the right word, but you're stimulating neural pathways that, and for lack of a better term, maybe are getting rusty, right? Or you want to kind of engage.
Yeah.
And so by stimulating, for example, with tones or random things, like you're helping your brain to start to kind of use those circuits again, probably. They were already there.
Right.
So a lot of this all gets developed really early in our brain and kind of gets set. And then it all, unfortunately, kind of goes downhill from there, right, as we age. But as we age, then sometimes you do need this kind of refresher, right, to get those rusty circuits to start to respond again.
Because what you said about loud environments, like a bar or something like that, I definitely get overwhelmed in those environments. And so I was looking for help with that because part of my job is to be in loud environments, obviously. So that is fascinating because what you're saying is that part of this may relate to, now that I'm also a dad, when you hear your child out of 100 different children, you know exactly who that is and where they are.
And I'm not a kid person, so I did not care about kid noises before I had kids. And then I was like, wait, why do I care about kid noises? And then I'm like, oh yeah, because it could be mine. Like, that could be important.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, okay. Well, questions. Let's take some questions before we get too far down this rabbit hole. Good evening. Are lower frequencies easier on ears at loud volume than higher frequencies?
I mean, so the way that sound travels into the cochlea, we tend to lose our high frequency hearing first just by the nature of that sound wave traveling in because it's going to hit those high frequencies first. Because the lower frequencies travel further up the cochlea. Okay. So you typically do get more damage on your high frequency cells than you do on your low frequency cells. But, you play anything loud enough and you're going to damage everything.
Sure.
Yeah, because we believe in our industry that, low frequency information doesn't cause any long-term, hearing damage. High frequency does, but, low frequency doesn't.
And it all hurts you eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah. So bass responsibly is the correct response. Next question. Jason, good evening. Does that tube have a resonant frequency based on its length?
Yep.
Jason seems to know something,
Yes, it absolutely does. So we called it a Kuntz tube because that's the last name of the scientist that came up with this, but it's really a resonance tube, and a lot of people call it just a resonance tube. It just so happens this is like a 6-inch diameter, it's 5 feet long, and it has a resonance of 110 hertz. That's where it's the particles in it activate the most. So 110 hertz, which also means 55 hertz, so half of that frequency, so an octave down, which also means 220 hertz, 440 hertz. All of those frequencies will activate the styrofoam balls in the tube and, show you kind of what a sound wave looks like traveling in that tube.
Excellent. One more question, then I want to show some videos that you guys brought us from the classroom. Final question. Good evening. You're back again. Okay. Does coil material affect crossover performance, aluminum versus copper?
I don't know. I've never used a coil that wasn't copper. So my only experience is with copper. Now I can tell you that there is a difference in resistance with a air core inductor versus a steel core inductor or a ferrite core inductor, those are typically going to have much lower resistance, which is nice because then you're putting a component in line that's not going to affect the output near as much. Sometimes maybe you want that. Maybe you want to tone something down without adding extra components, so then an air core inductor would be good for you. But as far as the actual wire, I've only used copper wire.
Now,
coils.
similarly, in voice coils, sometimes we use copper, sometimes we're using copper-clad aluminum in a voice coil. What would be the difference there?
Just the resistance of the wire. Copper-clad aluminum is typically what's used in your voice coil wire. We don't typically want to use copper-clad aluminum power wire,
right?
Because we know that oxygen-free copper just works a little bit better. But in a voice coil, we use copper-clad aluminum. We also do aluminum voice coils. I mean, copper. Yes.
Aluminum, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
We also do just aluminum voice coils as well, straight aluminum. Yeah.
Okay. So, and part of that must be the weight difference as well?
Yeah, weight is sometimes part of it, and also the way that they shed heat. So depending on what kind of performance targets we're hitting, if we're using something, or if we want to run power to it and we're using a copper-clad aluminum coil, and it's getting a little hotter than we want, maybe we'll try aluminum. It's just a matter of using what works best for whatever the situation is.
This is where I love to plug the fact that we have real engineers at KICKER, because it takes a lot of trial and error and understanding of what you're doing, not just slapping parts together and selling a woofer.
Yeah, and we have some really good engineers. Bob and Alan do a great job. They have both been in the game for a really long time, and they're really experienced. So it's really nice to have those guys to bounce things off of.
So we have a couple of videos that we want to show from the classroom. J-Dub, can you pull up my laptop? And then you guys have to kind of describe what we're looking at here.
Okay, so this right here was instrument making portion. We did some instrument making. We made kazoos. We made a flute that's tuned to a G major scale. So it's a G major flute that was made out of PVC. And we also made you can see the paint buckets there with the dowel rod. That's called a KICKER. It's a Brazilian percussion instrument. So you use a wet sponge, and well, I've got one right here.
Yeah, let's play that.
Anybody want to demonstrate the KICKER? No?
No KICKER players? Connor, KICKER.
All right.
Bring it up.
I think you should bring it up. And y'all have probably heard this in music, but have at it.
You hold it around it.
Yeah.
Professional KICKER player,
That's
right?
it. Yeah, you're hired.
Good job, Connor.
So
All
that's
right.
a KICKER. That was one of the things we made in class. The kazoos were really cool, and the flute was a fun project as well. But we actually have some video of them playing the kazoo. Let's see if I can. Is there a way I can see your file so I can see what's what?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of hard
I
to
think
see.
it's that one, the 321. It's the sideways, the one right next to
This
that
one?
one.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. Here we go, J-Dub. So you won't be able to hear this,
Oh, okay. There's no audio.
fortunately.
Bummer.
Yeah. Well, they were playing the Star
Very
Spangled Banner.
talented
It was
group
cool.
of
Yeah.
kazoo players here.
Some version of the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, that's good stuff. This must be one of the most fun classes. Oops, I don't want
I think
that.
there are probably some of them soldering and other things.
Okay, so
it's
let's
always a good time.
I'll just go random here. So that, I think we already did that one, didn't we? Okay.
On campus,
Oh,
so
that's
he's part of Pete's
awesome.
Pet Posse. He gets to come and get petted every once in a while.
Yeah, and it's Liz's dog.
It's
Yeah,
your
my actual
dog.
dog, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
We like to embarrass them and made them parade around the classroom building where the class is. So there's Jack again.
Oh, that's awesome. We don't want the copyright strike. Yeah, no doubt. This is beautiful Oklahoma State University campus, in case you're wondering.
And we have dogs that can get petted.
And dogs, lots and lots of dogs.
Thank you, Ann Hargis.
Oh, that's the
Flutes,
flute.
yeah.
Okay. And we have a flute here, but someone declined to play it for us tonight. I'm not looking at anyone in particular. I did try
So,
to play
you have
it.
it?
Try.
Let's show it to him. Thank you.
I got my lipstick on though. It's gonna mess up your. I don't know. I didn't
So,
even practice. This is
You
the
know,
problem.
basically a horn works just like a port on an enclosure. So yeah, I took drills
Actually works.
to class, and the measurements and the hole sizes and how you're supposed to tweak the, it's a side blown flute, so how you're supposed to tweak the mouthpiece.
I think yours was better than mine.
They went to town and built flutes, and
That's
it was
cool.
cool, yeah.
I did try to play it earlier, and I almost passed out, so I had to
We were worried for
defer.
Aaron's health.
Yeah,
Demo
I'm
that
not a
again.
flautist.
So I was getting ready to say, you know, a lot of this stuff obviously relates to audio. It's the same physics. Just as we know, you make a port longer for a subwoofer, it gets lower. Well, that's what you're doing with a horn. You know, you're using the fingering and the keys to either shorten or lengthen the horn. And as you shorten it, you play a higher note, and as you lengthen it, you play a lower note, and so that's how it works. So with a simple PVC tube and a simple, you know, mouthpiece and the holes drilled in the right spot and being the right size, you know, you can make your own horn.
Should we show them this enclosure you guys built?
Yeah. So this was a enclosure that we designed in class. It's a band pass. We wanted to design something somewhat complicated, you know, something that was a little bit more involved than just a sealed or ported enclosure. And one thing that we did was made the port adjustable. So we were able to add length and stack more length onto that port so that they can see and understand how and listen to how extending the port changes the sound. So,
There it is.
and it has one of the Comp C woofers in it that they built. So not only did they build a mid-range that, like we talked about earlier, but they also built a Comp C 10-inch subwoofer.
So that's
class.
what's in here, the
And
one
that's
they
what's
built.
in there, yeah.
And some of the kids got to come and help you build this here. Okay.
Well, actually, we weren't able to. We did
Oh,
a
yeah.
different project. We did a project in the lab. It was a you know, safety-sensitive thing.
Fair.
Yeah, so.
I think one of
Couldn't
the
have them back there running table saws and stuff.
one of my favorite parts about this class though is that they get to come here to KICKER because I mean we're 10 minutes from
yes.
campus a few times throughout the semester, so they get to come and see, you know, the big boom room and you know all the kind of knock your socks off sound, you know, stuff that they have here.
Bronco.
Yeah,
Yep.
they got to hear the
Yes.
Bronco.
But
yeah.
then after we build the speakers, we bring them back and they have to actually test the speakers out and see how they did. 'Cause,
Yes.
you know, it's not the easiest thing to put one of those things together. And,
Yeah, especially
you know,
by hand, no jigs or any, well, we did have a jig for the voice coil to keep it centered.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know, it's just hand built. We don't have nice glue dispensers, and you know, we're not able to spin the woofer real easily like they do at the factory. And
Yeah.
So you know, it's cool that they were able to pull it off and make some speakers that actually worked.
Some
Building
of
them
them
by hand
worked
in a
better than
classroom.
others.
Yeah, not all of them worked, which is, you know, to be understood.
Yes,
Again, it's
yes.
pretty challenging.
But also the way that real science works, you know,
Yeah.
not everything's going to work. And then
For
figuring
sure.
out what it was that maybe didn't work as well. Maybe you got to solder a little better. The glue needs to be different. We learned that a lot the first year.
Yep.
They really benefited from the fact that this was our second year teaching the
Oh, of
class
course.
we learned a few things along the way the first year, like you got the speakers magnetized this year.
Yeah. Last year we got the parts and the speakers were built. We were going to fire them up in class to listen to them and realized that they weren't magnetized. So fortunately, we have a mag machine here.
Yep, we
so I was
do.
able to bring them back and mag them.
Yeah.
You know? But
Didn't
this
sound
year
so
when
good
we
without
requested the parts,
magnets.
right. This year when we requested the parts, we asked that they magnetize them, so we were good to go. But actually, you know, a speaker that's not magnetized will still create a little bit of sound because as you're running
yeah.
voltage through the coil, of course, it becomes a magnet, right?
Sure.
And so then there's some parasitic,
Yeah.
you know, magnetization, I guess, that leaches into your fixed motor and will actually play a little bit of sound. It sounds terrible and it's really quiet, you know, but it'll actually play a little something,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting.
You know, I was thinking, we've got this great studio audience here. We should probably ask you guys a couple questions. Oh, there's the mic. Go ahead and pick that up. So, question, can we see? Okay, sort of here. So, what is something interesting that you learned from the class this year? Something you didn't know beforehand something that'll stick with you?
Just how simple speakers really are. You know, like, it's just a magnet, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard to, like, think how something moving up and down makes the same sound that I'm speaking right now.
Yes.
It's kind of confusing, but it definitely helped me learn about that a lot in this class.
A speaker is a very simple machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Good. Anybody else have something they want to share that you learned this year that was really interesting, or something you didn't think about before you took the class?
It's just kind of on the same note with the structure of speakers. I was amazed when we were putting them together in class, like, wow, I have this much and so much more, like, in my pocket. And that made me think, wow, well, how would you build something like this? Especially because there was a point where, to make up some credit, I came and helped Aaron test some speakers, and we were switching out some parts, and I was like, man, they've got all of this going on and more, like,
Yes.
in these tiny, tiny spaces. And it just kind of blew my mind. I'd be very interested to, like, see what that behind the scenes workspace looks like for, like, tiny speakers and
Sure.
just stuff of different magnitude. Yeah.
Excellent. Anybody else? Connor, you want to share something?
Yeah, so something that was really interesting for me, actually the reason I wanted to take the class, as a mechanical engineer, there's lots of applications around, like, resonance, both for making engineering things really well,
Yes.
or having really big failures a lot of times. Especially in the civil engineering world, we see a lot of failures that come from resonance.
Tacoma Narrows Bridge?
Yes, exactly. And so learning, what resonance is, what gives a material its resonance properties, and then also, how do we dampen those frequencies that's going to resonate at, or if we want it to resonate, how do we make that happen? So.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm sure Aaron talked a lot about HushMat, sound damping products as well.
I probably touched on sound
Yeah.
deadening materials at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, in a car, automotive environment, there's a lot of big steel panels which like to resonate. And so we have to deaden those so they don't vibrate, releasing the music in ways you don't want it released.
Right.
So, yeah, resonance, that's good. That's good. Good. Aaron, what do you, these students here, what are some of the interesting things that you've worked with them on that they might want to talk to us about?
Well, just, the speaker thing is,
Yeah.
that's really what we did, and that was my contribution to the course.
Yeah.
Some of the interesting things that we did outside of that was, like, visiting the anechoic chamber.
Oh, yeah.
And we took some tours of some places, so there should be a picture of that in there. The McKnight Center, and they got to learn about how a lot of the sound treatment is very intentional in that theater, and that was cool. I was actually out for that one, but I got to tour the place last year. And so that stuff was cool. I mean, at least for me, that's not directly related to my job. I
Sure.
mean, it's heavily related because it's acoustics, but
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was cool. Yeah.
We also bring in some guest lectures. We have Mario Barundo, who is a physicist who starts us out just even talking about what are the physics of sound, and Mark Perry, who's a sound production, music
Oh, yeah.
production guy on campus, talk about all the different musical instruments, and that's what then inspires us to make musical instruments and stuff like that. So we really try to make the class as broad as possible, and this year we added in some animal communication stuff and some neuroscience stuff, obviously, because of my expertise. So yeah, we throw everything at them. I think somebody last year said it the best of, like, I really didn't know what we would do when we came into class each day, because we have a structure, but it's also somewhat based on what they're interested in and
Sure.
what they want to cover. We try to kind of touch on too.
Oh, that's great. So, J-Dub, can you pull up that photo on my laptop, please? This is the anechoic chamber. So, Aaron, tell us a little bit about this.
So this is a room in the engineering building at OSU, Liz, right? Mm-hmm. And it's in the basement, and it is a full-on anechoic chamber. Now, the guy that runs it, he said that it's not perfect, but it's still pretty quiet, and it has that real eerie feeling. But basically, it's a room that's completely padded. It's floating, so it's a room within a room. The floor is suspended. In fact, the floor is just like a mesh steel floor that's attached with springs,
probably one of the creepiest
anchored
parts
all the
when
way
you're walking
around.
on it.
And I couldn't believe that it held all of us. There was, what, 15 of us in there, 12 of us in there? And it holds us all. Yeah, you can kind of see the mesh floor.
Yeah,
and you
there.
actually stand over the top of that like 3 or 4 foot thick foam. So they're able to quiet and deaden just about anything. And it's super quiet. It's really cool.
Awesome. I need to get in there at some point.
Yeah,
awesome.
some people here caught wind of the fact that we toured that place, and so there's some people here that are like, "Who do we need to reach out to?"
Yeah.
Because I want to check that out.
Definitely,
so
yes.
We've got some contact information. I told them I'd hit Liz up.
Can organize a kicker tour.
Yes,
for you.
please.
Yeah.
I'm usually the tour guide, but I want to be on the tour.
There you go.
So, looks like we got some questions. J-Dub, can you pull up the questions, please? Steven, Dr. Liz, for those of us that have embraced the living loud lifestyle and now have tinnitus, do you have any opinions on the validity and effectiveness of binaural sound therapy for tinnitus treatment?
Well, I'll start out. I'm not that kind of doctor, so I'm not an MD. You should probably consult an actual physician. But I think tinnitus is one of the coolest, not unfortunate for anyone who has it, but interesting conditions because we really don't know a lot about it still. We know that there are some origins that happen in the ear. We know that there are some origins that happen more in the brain. So I think part of the issue for any therapy that we have right now is in part we don't know a lot about the basic science still. Mm-hmm. So while we can try to do some things that may help some folks until we know what it is that's affected, whether it be in your ear and in the periphery, or whether it be in your brain, any therapy you try is really just, does it help you? And if it helps you, go for it. It's the kind of the unfortunate part about it. But basic science, if we learn more about the way these things work, then more therapies will come, hopefully.
So the cause of it, we don't 100% know, but probably 150 dB is not a good idea.
Likely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
more sound exposure is not great. But I mean, some people have just spontaneous tinnitus where it's just like there's no damage that occurred, and then now they hear tones. Some people just hear it their whole life even and didn't even know. Like, oh, you don't hear ringing in your ear all the time? Like, that's just, the way it goes.
So it could be the brain interpreting what's coming through the ear.
All sorts of things could be involved, yep.
Wow, good question, thank you. Next question. Clint, hello, good evening. Does extremely cold weather cause an obnoxious effect to people's hearing?
I mean, pressure changes, right, are going to affect the way that you hear. And sometimes, on a really clear night, right, that's why sound of like snow falling is so beautiful, right, because it's also dampening the sound around you.
Yes.
So, yes, in some ways, like the weather will affect your hearing, but in more subtle ways than, just like, oh, it's cold and therefore it's doing something, to your, it's about the way that the pressure is in that environment at that time.
We know it can affect your SPL score, so it's
Yeah.
probably affecting our ears too.
Good point. Next question, please. Jason, good evening again. Am I correct in thinking you only really need a magnetic field on one side of a voice coil for it to work, like having a top plate but no pole piece?
You got to complete the circuit, so but ultimately if you have a fixed magnet and a electromagnet, it's going to move, so it's probably not going to be very effective or efficient.
Yeah. So part of the science of great speakers is managing the efficiency, power in, sound out, and the sensitivity. Of course, we talk a lot about sensitivity, like our Street Series product, very high sensitivity, very little power, makes it play really loud. And so there's trade-offs there for sure.
You also got to have some heat sink for that voice coil, so pole
Yes.
piece and back plate is a big part of that.
Get rid of that heat. Yeah, good. Okay, so I think we should play some bass.
All right, so since instrument making was a big part of our class, and in fact, we had a ton of different majors, students with different majors in our class. Some music majors. What are some other ones, Liz?
Engineers, accountants, I think.
What are you all majoring in?
Aerospace.
Yeah, what do we got?
Music? Anthropology. Great store. Chemical engineering. Connor? Mechanical and aerospace. Okay.
So, lots of engineers.
Yep.
I think one feedback I got about our course, which maybe I have to think about, is unfortunately I think for a lot of the music majors, and maybe Sam can correct me, is at our time, like there's a lot of other stuff that going on in the music department, and so it can be hard to fit our time with their schedule. But I love that we have folks from all different backgrounds who are interested in what we have to offer. So
Yeah, so we have a couple of musicians. We had lots of musicians, actually.
yeah.
But we're going to have these guys come up and each take a turn playing the bass and showing you guys how this Kuntz tube works. So,
Who's up?
As we discussed earlier, the resonance is 110 hertz, which is an A note. So I'm sure they'll noodle around a little bit and play some other notes, but you'll see really good activity when they hit that A.
Yeah, it's interesting because is this thing?
Okay, I'm just about there. Okay, it should be on now.
Yeah, so. There we go.
There you
That
go.
really gets it going.
Yeah. So he's playing an A there, and as you can see, there's a lot of activity in the middle of the tube. And there's a dead spot at this end, and there's a dead spot at the other end. Because what's happening is as the sound comes off of the speaker, it's going to the other end, it's bouncing back, and as it does that, it has some deconstructive and some constructive interference. So by deconstructive interference, it's going to have some areas of cancellation. By constructive interference, the two waves are going to combine with each other and actually amplify. So that's what you're seeing in that tube.
Yeah, the A does great, but if I tried to give it some like gorillas or something. It just doesn't seem to care. It only wants that A. I was actually just kind of wondering, not even for the purpose of the show, why is that it only responds so strongly to that single?
Because that's the resonance of this tube. This diameter and this length and this rigidity
Okay, so
determines,
it's like the size and
yep,
stuff too.
determines that frequency.
See it go.
And then if you play an octave higher A, then you'll see that there'll be another null and another area of activity. So maybe try this one right here. There you go. So it's pretty responsive to that one. That's going to be your 110 hertz right there. So, did you want to get up and give it a shot?
No,
All
you
right.
got it. Come on. Come on.
Hey, is that chocolate making a round
Time
out
to
there?
show off.
Did you guys pass that chocolate? I need a piece of chocolate. Yeah, we hacked up the chocolate. Did you guys get some? Yeah, please do. I can't take 7 pounds home. Yeah, take some.
Yep, it's a resonance tube. So
Yeah, but like even the different octaves.
yes.
Is that just like power output? Because there's like force. Like,
Well, that's the true resonance. You're getting very little movement from the speaker, but you're getting a lot of activity. That's because that's the true resonance of the tube. When you go an octave higher, it's not as active because it's still going to be a resonant point because it's an octave higher. It's still an A,
Right.
you know, but it's not the actual resonance of the tube. So
and does the styrofoam balls, if that was like a different like material, would that change it?
yeah, I've seen people use sand, so you can use sand in these. And someone asked in our class earlier this year if you could use water, and I thought that it would be too dense, but I actually found a YouTube video where somebody used water in one of these, and it was a really cool effect. So you can use water, it just has to be a pretty thin layer of water, and it'll move that water around just like the styrofoam. I know, yes, so the idea stemmed from a fire version, which is a metal pipe. You hook up propane to drill holes in the top, and then the fire You light it on fire, and as you play different frequencies through it,
That one's a Rubens
kind of
tube,
like
right?
a Rubens tube, yes. Yeah. So.
Any final notes? See what I did there? Thank you, Sue.
So funny.
All right, thank y'all.
All right, well, let's see if any more questions, J-Dub, before we send these folks on their way to finish up.
Yeah, it's finals week for them.
Yeah,
so.
we got to get these students back to their dorms and their homes. Do you guys study sea level with how it affects sound as well? Sea level.
I mean, obviously being at different altitude, there will be different pressure, right, in the air and things like that. And we don't study it, but we have worried as scientists. I actually came from Colorado, and so we worried a little bit about how being at a higher altitude and studying the auditory system, right, is going to make our results completely translatable to people who are lower, right, like us. I think it probably actually has more of an effect on the physiology of the animal, right? Like we know that if you live at a higher altitude, your oxygen consumption and other things change. So I would guess that has a greater impact than the actual properties of sound, but interesting question.
My wife's uncle was just in Tibet for 10 days, and every hotel had oxygen in the hotel room, and all the tour buses had oxygen.
All us weak folks.
yes, that's right. All right, folks, I think, build list for the tube before we go.
I can't remember where I found the acrylic tube, but I found it online. It's an acrylic tube, an MDF, and a speaker. It's a 6.5-inch subwoofer that I purchased off of Parts Express. We needed something with a little bit more displacement than any of the 6.5-inch speakers that we have. So,
sure.
But a future thing we're hoping to do actually is get a bunch of tubes that are slightly different width, so that we could play like more complex sounds and have different frequencies active. And that will be our next update to the Sound of Science exhibit once we get that going.
Make it like a Kuntz tube spectrum analyzer.
Maybe different colors, really
That's cool.
Yeah.
make it look
All
cool.
right. Well, folks, thank you for being here. Dr. Liz, always a pleasure.
Thanks for
Aaron,
having
I'll
me.
see you tomorrow.
All right. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight. It was great to have a studio audience. And for the home audience, we're going to take a little break, send these folks home. We'll be right back.
It's been a long road since the original Kicker christened that first pickup truck. It kicked off a car audio renaissance, and upgrading your music in a vehicle was a requirement. America's music machine became living loud over your passion, your emotion, your existence. Outdoors or on the open road, your sound is Kicker.
For more than 50 years, Kicker has been rocking the planet on anything that moves. Kicker, the legacy continues.
Something bad, your hands on the wheel, got a sexy touch. It's enough to make me and my Chevy blush. Oh Lord, take it all off of that highway. Turn me on, I'll let you drive, baby. You can take it fast as you want to. Girl, little Betty looks damn good on you. Start me up, Stones on the radio. Girl, I love it when you let go. Don't waste your way in the wrong way. Get off on some 4x4 play.
Music is my passion, my livelihood, and it's in my DNA. My pals at Kicker Marine Audio gave me a chance to take the music, what I love and listen to, at home, on stage, and in the car, onto the water. Hi, this is Jason Bonham, and I want to say a big thank you to my friends at Kicker Audio for inspiring the songs and the stories behind the music that inspires America. Go overboard!
This is your time.
Welcome back, and boy, I just had some of that chocolate. Thank you, gentlemen at Opus. That is wonderful. The students took a whole bunch with them, so I've still got about 6.5 pounds left. So, woohoo! Okay, for the rest of the show, what we got? Technical questions. The first question we had tonight is, why does the same subwoofer sound different in different vehicles? Well, the simple answer, airspace, volume. You put a subwoofer in a pickup truck, listen to it, then take that subwoofer out of the pickup truck, put it in a Suburban, and yes, it's going to have a different impact. You're going to have a different sound because you've got a very different air volume, different resonant frequencies. Like Liz was talking about, the resonance of this tube is specific to this tube. So each vehicle with its own given airspace is going to have a different resonance. So you're going to have different output levels, different bumps in output at different frequencies based on the volume of the vehicle. One of the fun things we used to do when I was in retail is we would take a small subwoofer, like a 6-inch subwoofer in a small enclosure, and we would just play it in different positions in the vehicle to find the best response from the driver's seat. So by using that small subwoofer, moving it around to different parts of the vehicle, you could figure out where it loaded the best for the driver. So that was a great technique. Same thing we do in home theater is you just take a subwoofer and you put it in the seat, the listening position, in the seat where you're going to sit and enjoy your home theater system. And then you go around on your hands and knees on the floor and you listen to the bass output based on where you are in the room. And wherever it sounds the best, that's where you put the subwoofer, as long as your wife lets you put it there. So that's a great technique. Next question is bigger always better when deciding what subwoofer to buy? That depends on who you ask. Now, John Myers and I have a great conversation about this in a previous UnMasked, and the short version is a 10-inch woofer in the right airspace will sound far better than a 12-inch woofer in a box that's just too small. And it just comes down to, again, that resonance. That woofer is looking for a specific airspace to do its thing based on how it was designed. And so the right woofer in the right enclosure is always going to outperform a super big woofer in the wrong box. So be sure you're getting the right woofer for the airspace you have to work with, and you'll get great sound. So that's our technical questions. Fail picks. Everybody loves fail picks, right? So Ernie found some fail picks today. J-Dub, if you could put up my laptop, please. I've got the first picture coming up here. So this, now I think we showed this once before, but it is worth showing again. That is a circuit breaker that has been mounted to the corner window vent, or maybe it's the side window vent. And then it looks like a piece of Gorilla Tape or duct tape holding it in position. And then, of course, the power wire is running through the door jamb. So this is a quick and simple what not to do. Next image, this is just a wire nightmare. And I mean, if you've got to troubleshoot this system, where do you start? I think you just pull everything apart and start over. Just a mess. Next up, we've got a, whoops, it's not, hold on, what's going on here? Next picture, here we go. So Ernie and I were debating on this, and we think this is just worth showing because it's such a giant question mark. What exactly am I looking at? I don't really know what that is, but you definitely don't want that going on in your vehicle. Definitely a safety hazard. I'm not even sure it's car audio related, but it probably is. And lastly, this looks like someone attempted to build an enclosure in their door for their mid-range driver. And I don't know what this stuff is down here. That looks like some sort of a insulation or Bondo or something, but whatever it is, this is not the solution to getting great mid-bass up front. So again, if this is your vehicle, we're not trying to pick on you, we're just laughing near you, not at you. So there's our fail picks. Now I want to show you some fun picks. Now, as you all know, we were in Las Vegas for SEMA, boy, it feels like just a few weeks ago. And this is a gentleman I want to introduce you to. This is Mr. Dave Tim and his lovely wife. Dave recently retired from the police force in Missouri, and his wife is actually still an active officer. But Dave, aside from being an officer, is a wicked car builder. Check this out. This was one of his 2 vehicles at SEMA this year. Beautiful El Camino. And Dave and I go way back. We actually met at SEMA, God, it's probably been 15 or 17 years ago. And he was already running KICKER before he knew anybody at KICKER. And I was so impressed with his build, we just started working together. And this man builds some incredible cars. And we used to have text conversations. He would be on patrol at night, he'd be texting, and then he would just stop texting for like an hour, and then he'd come back and say, oh, I just had to arrest some numbnuts for doing something I'm not supposed to be doing. And so it was crazy talking to Tim. But you can see his logo there, Tim Built, on that supercharger. Now, of course, you're wondering, well, Aaron, is there any audio in this car? Yes. If you look down here, he's got some KS components. He built these kick panels. And then up here, it looks like he's got the tweeter mounted in the dash. And then he's got a, I'm not sure what radio that is, but it's definitely got a media center in there. And then if you look behind this beautiful upholstered seat, which he does as well, back here you can see the subwoofers hiding. And he's got not comp RTs, these are L7T. I believe they're 12-inch woofers, 4 of them back here. And then he's got the CXA amplifiers. So very nice build. This is the other vehicle that he had at SEMA this year. This is his shop truck. Again, Tim Built, that's his company. Beautiful builds. So if you're looking for a builder in Illinois area, I said Missouri, I apologize, Illinois area, he does some serious work in his shop. Now, because he's retired, he got bored and decided to run for sheriff. So here he is walking in a parade with his supporters, and the guy is literally running for sheriff. So he got bored, decided to become the sheriff of his community, and we support you, Tim. Hopefully, Mr. Tim, excuse me, hopefully you're watching tonight. So that was fun. I also want to show you another guy that was hanging out in our booth. Hello, good evening. And so we had a great conversation. He and his wife were in our booth the full 3 days that I was there. And we decided that we need to bring him on the show probably in February, sometime February. We're going to bring him on the show to talk about his vehicles because he's got some wicked KICKER builds, and we definitely want to spend some more time with him talking about that. So Peter, thanks for being patient. I saw you chatting in here tonight. Appreciate you being here. And a couple more pictures. We actually shot a commercial for General Motors here at KICKER, and I want to give you the scene. This is right across the street from KICKER. So this is Boomer Lake, and this is where we did the photo shoot for General Motors. We've got their tailgate audio system that we build here at KICKER. And so we rounded up a bunch of OSU college students, a couple of camera guys. I think you recognize these guys here. A couple of cameramen, and you can see all their gear set up here. Man, was it a beautiful day out there. We did some grilling. They played some, not skee ball, what is it? Cornhole. Played some cornhole. And we had a special guest appearance. Let's see if you can pick out the special guest. Look at this. We had a Yeti stop by and grill some burgers for us. It's a great day when you've got a Yeti come by to grill for you. So, a great day here at KICKER. And lastly, I want to show you some more pictures. Before I show you these pictures, did anybody notice, hey J-Dub, can you go back? Did anybody notice this? Whoops, there we go. Did anybody notice this? Was anybody chatting about that, J-Dub? Nobody commented on that. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this up here. I got to show this off because this is Irby Lane. So our very own Mr. Steve Irby, and of course his lovely wife Becky, they have a street named after them, Irby Lane, right here in Stillwater. And it, of course, borders Block 34. And so this was given to them just a couple of months ago. And so we had a wonderful event at Block 34 this weekend. And I wanted to show you just a couple of pictures. J-Dub, if you could pull up my laptop again. I want to show you a couple pictures. We had a drone show, which I had never seen a drone show. It was amazing. So those are the drones up there. And down here, this is actually the KICKER sound stage. Of course, it has a giant snowman on it. And this drone show was fantastic. It was a cold night, but not too cold. The whole community came out to watch the drone show over the KICKER sound stage. And here's me, all bundled up, trying to keep warm. Back here is the Simmons Pavilion. And it was first responders night, so we had the fire, the police, we had the ambulance crews out there. Everybody was out there to respect the men and women that keep us safe. And it was just a lovely evening at Block 34. And there's the Block 34 logo lit up by the drones. So we had a lovely evening on Irby Lane at Block 34, and I wanted to show that off just a little bit. So events, what events do we have going on? We have the MRAA Dealer Week event happening right now in Florida, Tampa, Florida. And a couple of our folks, including John Myers, are out there. And it is not a consumer show. It's more for boat dealers, guys and girls that are selling boats at retail. And of course, they want KICKER audio systems. So we are out there supporting our existing dealers and looking for new dealers, new vendors, new partners. So that's happening. And of course, Christmas is coming up. And we have one more show that is on Christmas Eve. So the 23rd, our very own John Myers is going to do a fantastic show that night. And so it's going to be a good time. Hopefully you'll be around. I know there's a lot of holiday things happening. So if you can't tune in live, you can always watch the rebroadcast. But that's going to be a good time. And so Ernie is... I didn't know about this, but yes, $2,500 giveaway. So John's going to announce the winner on the 23rd. So yeah, you're going to want to tune in. So yeah, put your other plans on hold and tune in, because $2,500 in KICKER gear, that's a lot of good stuff. So you're going to want to tune in to check that out. And after talking about the huge prize, let's talk about the prizes tonight that are not quite $2,500, but they're still very exciting. So what do we got for prizes tonight? So the first place winner, second place, third place. Let's do third place winner first. Of course, you always want to start at the end, right? Third place winner gets the TW1s. That's the in-ear monitors and the 2 koozies and a t-shirt. Number 3, Frank M. from Pennsylvania. Congratulations, Frank. You have won third place. Now let's go to the second place winner. Second place winner steps up to the TW2 in-ear monitors, koozies, and the t-shirt. Michael M. from Georgia. Congratulations, Michael M. from Georgia. You're number 2 winner. Number 1 winner, you get the bullfrog, the koozies, and the t-shirt. Who is number 1? Farrell H. from North Dakota. Man, it's cold up there. You're going to need that bullfrog to keep you warm. So those are our winners tonight. Andy, I understand Andy's having an after show. Andy, please chime in and say, yes, you are in fact having an after show. So all the folks that are on tonight, you can hang out and play with Andy after this. There you are, Andy Living Loud. Thank you, Andy. And I guess that's it. We're done. What a great show. Ernie, J-Dub, thank you guys very much. Stephen, thank you. And we'll see you guys on the 23rd.
Shake the ground, KICKER sound spinning round, metal hearts pounding the beat, feel the rush at your feet, tear the night with electric scream, amped up dreams fuel the stream, thunder blast through endless skies, driving forward never dies. KICKER UnMasked, live it loud, break the silence, join the crowd. Rock the planet, feel the fire. Shake the world, lift it higher. Whoa! Wires twist like veins of steel. Born to crush, born to feel. Lightning runs through every chord. Power surge, the final word.